One Word is a production of BFAC On Air.
Welcome back, everyone, to One Word.
What's up?
How's
You
it
kind
going?
of scared me a little bit.
like I wasn't gonna.
I know, I knew it was coming, right? And then,
You know
I
what?
don't
In honor of Slang Part 2, I think we should just call this ow. Yeah.
Yeah.
One word. Ow.
Ow.
Oh, I was like, what?
Ow.
Or we could call it the OW.
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 I like that.
I like
O-dub.
that. O-dub.
O-dub.
OW. That's it.
Let's
That's
try that
it.
again.
One word.
Welcome back, everyone, to OW.
OW.
O-dub.
And then we could do like this.
O-dub.
I
love it.
don't want to
No?
make random. That's
No
a whole
signs?
that's another one we could totally do.
That's true.
Like
Are we talking
baseball signage. No,
Oh,
I'm kidding.
yeah. Baseball. Today we're talking about baseball signage.
And on the third baseline, we have an advertisement for. I went a
Oh, my
different route
goodness.
with different kind of signage.
Oh my God.
That makes so much more sense now.
Oh my word, y'all.
You know how they have banners that
Yep, now we got
from
it.
my massive baseball viewing experience.
Are you not a big baseball viewer?
I don't generally watch any kind
Do you
of.
know that
With a
I
ball.
imagine like this with a ball. My mom is a huge baseball fanatic.
I think that's fantastic.
I do love
Huge.
baseball.
That's
Like,
fantastic.
She kind of got my dad into baseball.
Good.
I mean, I think he already was. Apparently, we're just talking about my parents now. So that's great. Hi, parents. I think you're great.
Howdy.
Hi.
Hi, Rents.
Well, part 2 of slang really kind of brought everything together, I think. You know, we spend a lot of time in part 1 talking about current day slangs, what a slang is, what makes it a slang versus other things. To this episode, we go through the history on different slangs through decades, and we really hit on some important things and values about slang as well. And I think I said slangs about 5 times in that paragraph I just said.
it's okay. Every time you said slangs, Rozzy and I occasionally looked at each other like,
He crazy.
he said slangs.
He cray cray.
Cray cray is not one we use.
That is not. It
That's
is not.
Bonus feature.
Yeah, that is true.
The director's cut. That's what it is.
The Durs cut.
Yeah. I like talking about the British slang. That was very fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I
Yeah.
like that.
There's one that we didn't mention that I love so much because it's so much gutted.
Good.
Oh, yeah. Gutted is good.
I like that a lot.
British slang, gutted is just
Yeah.
like you're like destroyed.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
And like
That's
that
good.
word,
is good.
like that is
It feels
That's
poetic.
heavy. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, it does.
I love British words and slang.
And people.
And people. I
Yes.
do.
We love you, British
love
people.
British people.
I liked when we talked about slang throughout the decades. That was cool.
Yeah.
How it's changed and how it's kind of built on itself. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there are just a lot of really fun words. I know we're called one word. We're one dub, but like we love all the dubs, you know?
We're
Yeah.
one dubs.
Yeah, we're one
It's
dubs.
fun straying a little bit and kind of exploring a word a little bit more organically,
Yeah.
I guess.
The side quests.
Yeah. That's right. So,
I love it.
yeah. So, this is the wrap up for you for the slang part 2. I don't know where we're going. Oh boy, performing that last hour and 15 minutes is exhausting.
You just knackered, aren't you? Knackered.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
that's good.
fun.
Knackered.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, there's no reason for us to talk on any longer. We'll lose our audience. Without further ado, I just have one word for you. Slang Part 2.
What's up?
Welcome back.
We're back. We're just, you know what? I know y'all are listening. You're like, please.
Mm-mm.
Y'all just keep using slang. We're not going to stop. So we're back with part 2.
That's right.
Of slang.
Mhm.
And we are just going to keep going. So we're going to start off with slang through the decades.
Through the decades. We're going to start with the 1920s.
Yes, darling.
Okay, so let's start with the 1920s.
Oh, the 20s.
And
what a year.
if
A
The good old
decade.
days.
if there's some you want to talk about, you just let me know. And you talk about ones that you might know something about, all right?
Okay.
So 23 skidoo. To get going, move along, leave, or scram. Do we all use that today?
I use scram. I say, skidoo.
Yep.
I actually do say skidoo.
It's 23 skidoo.
Oh,
23
I
skidoo.
don't say 23 skidoo.
I don't think I've heard of that
I
either.
have never heard of it.
Do you know where I've heard skidoo from though?
No.
Blues Clues.
Oh.
I used to
Because
watch Blue's Clues.
Blues
That's
skidooed. We can too.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at you.
That's great.
How about the cats?
I had a crush on the guy from
Oh.
Not on Blue.
Not on blue.
Not on the imaginary
You
dog.
scared me.
How about the cat's pajamas? Because that guy from Blue to You was
He was the cat's pajamas.
the cat's
Meow.
pajamas. The best, the height of excellence.
Meow.
So let's talk about why the cat's pajamas, okay?
Well, can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead, guess.
I'm thinking because cats get real comfortable, right? And I bet if a cat was wearing pajamas, like they would be the best things. And their fur is so like nice and furry. Like their pajamas are just so comfy.
So comfy.
So
It's about
comfy.
the fur of the cat to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that right?
That is wrong.
Dang it.
100% wrong.
100%?
So this comes from the 1920s when pajamas, or PJs or jammies, whatever you called them, were just coming into fashion and as a woman's item of apparel, though still slightly risque, the term cat was also coming into use by the flappers, was a slang word for person or cool
Cat.
person.
Yeah.
Cool cat.
Ah.
So cat was the cool person, and pajamas was this type of apparel that was
Yeah.
becoming in fashion. So both were these cool things, right?
That actually makes
That makes sense.
That makes
checks
sense.
Does that make sense? to
You were right. I was less right.
I would say you were not right at all.
Or wrong. I might have been wrong.
1920s, some more. Gams,
Gams.
Gams.
legs,
Legs. Oh, I've
Yeah.
heard that
Oh.
one.
Did
Yeah.
you know that?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
the real McCoy.
Yes, the real thing.
Yeah, the real,
Real
thing.
deal.
Yeah.
Hotsy totsy. Perfect. How about mal? A female. Oh, well, do we know what mal is? MOLL?
Yes.
What is it?
Well, that's the one I researched.
Yeah, what is that one?
It's like I want to word this nicely. So it's like
Please word it nicely.
a woman of loose morals
Oh.
Gotcha.
Okay.
in a certain manner.
And so what I have is a female companion of a gangster.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I said what I said.
How about the bee's knees in 1920s?
Oh my
I know that
gosh.
one.
Yeah.
Do you know this one? What is it?
I do. It means it's cool. It's the bee's knees.
Yeah.
I would say excellent or
Excellent.
outstanding.
That's good
Yeah.
too.
I use
We
the
haven't
bee's
gotten to
knees.
cool yet in the 1920s. It's true.
I use the bee's knees all the time.
Like the actual knees of
I
a bee.
take their
you
knees and I use them in things.
I take
Do
the knees
bees
of
have
the bees.
knees? Let's get them under the microscope. Hello, Mr. Bee.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you got
I'll put my microscope under the
my
table
goodness.
They
again.
do have knees.
that was amazing. Okay, so the bee's knees.
By the way,
actually-
wait.
Look
Did
at
Harm?
that.
Harm? Did you just see?
I looked it up. They got knees.
Bees have knees.
They
There
have
we
real
go.
knees.
Okay, keep going.
I promise that I do not take the knees of bees. Like that. Please don't email and be like,
Those
I
poor
can't
bees."
believe
Animal cruelty.
You would do that to the bees. Okay, so the bee's knees.
Would that be animal cruelty? Sorry, again.
Or would it be
it's
bug
not
cruelty?
animal cruelty. They're not animals, are
Bug
they?
cruelty.
They're
Okay,
insects,
Insect
well,
right?
cruelty.
now they're gonna come after you. Bees are animals.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, bees knees came into use during the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
When flappers compared almost anything they considered excellent to the part of an animal. So like, but then this cartoonist, Tad Dorgan, he's kind of responsible for using that particular one in like a comic strip. But he also is probably responsible for hot dog. But other
Hot dog, hot diggity.
diggity dog.
Oh, I don't
my
know if we
gosh.
can say that one.
Oh,
we're very singy. But he also coined some other terms like the canary's tusks, the flea's eyebrows, the sardines' whiskers,
Some might say he had a fetish.
the eel's ankle, and the clam's garter.
What? How does a clam have a garter? That's not even a part of their body.
No.
Well, maybe they were getting married. I don't know.
So those did not make it.
No, but bee's knees kind of stuck a little bit. Although a lot of people don't use bee's knees, but
It's probably like
it
the
stuck a little bit
rhyming.
more.
Yeah.
It sounds nice.
I don't know. The oyster's garter.
The oyster's garter probably didn't go over
that-
as well.
Although other people, okay, I'm sorry, I have more to say.
Stop talking, Dominic.
Other people believe, though, that it came from the shortening of the be all and end all of everything, which was then shortened to the B's and E's and then B's knees.
Oh, okay.
But
I do find
like
it,
the other one.
Yeah.
I do find it interesting that a lot of this is like hypothetical. It's we think it came from here,
Yeah.
but it probably was around longer than that, and this is the first time it was written, or this is how there's a whole bunch of that. Okay, let's move into the 1930s.
Yes, let's move, darling.
Okay,
We're here in the 30s. Hello, 30s.
I'll be a monkey's uncle. Rosie, have you never heard of that one?
No, I've heard monkey's uncle.
Oh, okay, great, yeah. A sign of disbelief. That was in the 1930s. Gig.
Oh, yeah.
I did some research on this one earlier.
Yeah. Great, do that. Tell us what you got in gig.
So it was like used by jazz musicians in the 1915, and was really only used by that group of people as slang to mean like a paying job or something like that.
Yeah.
And then also it's been like used by musicians and all performers, like all sorts of performers now.
Yeah, totally. And there was another one that said a gig, it got its name because of the carriage of a horse or something like that. Yeah, so that kind of relates to all types of jobs as well. But again, I believe it was in part one of this, we were talking about creative people and artists and jazz time creating a lot of slang for us, and that is one that came out of the jazz era back then. Yeah. Girl Friday.
Oh, yes.
It's Girl Friday.
Girl Friday is a woman who does different jobs in an office. It's like a secretary or clerk who works for a man, and it's a very condescending word.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, go get my papers, Girl Friday.
Is it? I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Was it always condescending?
Because it was like before, I forget what it is. I think it was, but it like originally, I think it was like Boy Friday or something, and it was like manservant. But then people started saying Girl Friday for secretaries.
Oh. So there's a movie called His Girl Friday. Have you
Yes,
seen
there
it?
is. Yes, there is.
And that's where I know the phrase from.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I had to say. And so in my head, I always kind of related to that. So I never like thought about it as like, I just thought of it as like somebody who you rely on.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I
Well,
thought of it.
I've got here a secretary or female assistant. So I think we all know that, yes, you rely on those people who assist you for everything.
Yes.
Because they are the ones who make you what you are. You can't do things without the people who help you accomplish things.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's a shame it was derogatory to them
Yeah.
and without appreciation.
Yeah.
Skivvies.
Oh, your skivvies.
Yeah.
Those are your underoos,
Yeah.
right?
But specifically men's.
Oh, really?
Specifically men's underwear. Let's move into the 1940s. Yeah. Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
And not the movie chain.
Not the movie chain that's defunct except for one.
Is it still about the movies, though? The Blockbuster?
It is still about the movies.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Blockbuster, my definition, if
Yeah.
yours is different,
Go
you
ahead.
let me know.
I'll tell you.
Okay, wait. I don't know that I'm right. I just have a Hollywood movie that's made with a large budget and big stars. I don't know that that's the true etymology of
I've
it,
got
though.
a huge success.
Okay.
Blockbuster's a huge success.
Yeah.
Keeping up with the Joneses. Keeping up with the Joneses. That's a competitive lifestyle of the 1940s, socioeconomic status comparable to one's neighbor.
Yeah. If the Joneses have it, I gotta have it.
Yeah.
It is true. It is true. How about the word cool?
Cool, Daddy-O.
Cool from 1940s. We talked a little bit about this in the first part of this episode and how we kind of have a fascination of temperature and our comparing ourselves to like either hot or cold or cool or chill or that kind of thing. And cool is kind of one that has, I think, of all the slang that we have, and correct me if you disagree with me, but I can't think of another slang word that has withstood as long a period of time. I still think at this time in our history, I hear people of multiple generations that might just say, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool's been around forever.
Cool
I agree.
has
It's
been a long time.
Stuck around for a very long time.
Yeah. So this is from the National Endowment of the Humanities. Like they have a whole article about
humanities.
the word cool. Okay. So for a millennium or so, cool has meant low in temperature, and temperature itself has long been a metaphor for psychological and emotional states. A cool reception, hot-headed. Okay. Chaucer tells us that they used the word cool to describe someone's wit. Okay. Shakespeare would say, more than cool reason ever comprehends. But starting around the 1930s, cool began appearing in American English. It was a casual expression, and it meant intensely good. This usage also distinguished the speaker apart from mainstream culture. And I think that's an important thing when we're talking about the slang. Taking yourself outside of a mainstream and more into a group so that you are able to communicate in a way that you find the most appropriate. Mm-hmm. As its popularity grew, cool's range of possible meanings began to explode. It enumerated all the qualities collected in the hidden folds of cool: self-possessed, disengendered, quietly disdainful, morally good, intellectually assured, aesthetically rewarding, physically attractive, fashionable, all of those things. On and on cool could be. Cool as a multi-purpose slang word grew in the 50s and 60s. There was a swell and an outshowing, countless other informal superlatives. Groovy, smooth, awesome, fat, sweet.
Fat,
Those are our few.
P-H-A-T?
That is correct. Thank you for that spelling. Along the way. But none of them stayed the way cool has stayed. Mm-hmm. Where does that start? What are its original components? And specifically, what is it about that feeling that make us attached to cool? It's really interesting how cool is this one word that stuck with us of all the slang words we've talked about. I mean, I don't know, maybe from episode 1, bet is gonna stick with us forever.
Yes.
I mean, from part 1.
Bet.
But cool has been the standard that has been with us for decades and decades and decades and decades. How let's
Cool,
coming
man.
from that.
That's cool.
Coming from that. What about sitting on the hot seat?
That's
Do we
a
know
good
where
one.
that comes from?
I don't know where it comes from.
Sounds like a game show or something.
That is one that kind of they don't really know either. Okay. At that time, the most popular way for capital punishment was the electric
my
chair.
God.
Which
Ooh.
is
So
a hot seat.
So they think that maybe it was the hot seat, but that doesn't really hold up, some historians might say, because, well, you don't survive that. So
Right.
it's more about an interrogation type thing. And so that's when, you see in those movies the light that would be on the one person.
Yeah.
So that and those lights back then were not LED.
Very hot.
So that
Very,
light
yeah.
right on them was hot. And some people believe that they were also a special kind of chair at that time that they'd light a candle and put under the chair. So the chair was actually hot, making them uncomfortable
yeah.
and wanting to get out. Kind of torturous
Yeah.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
in a way. But again, there we are with temperature
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
sitting in the hot seat.
Yeah.
How about smooch?
Smooch.
Smooch.
Kiss.
Like a little
That's
kiss.
right. Good job.
Little kid.
The 1950s. We've got.
Hey there, welcome to the 50s.
That's right. You've got
I
Big
didn't
Brother.
do 40s, so.
Big Brother.
Big Brother is watching you. Boo boo. A mistake.
Oh.
Oh. Not what I
Boo-boo.
was thinking.
Yeah. Which very interestingly, in 1961 is when Yogi Bear came out and
Hey,
the
boo-boo.
character. Hey, boo boo. And there was a character Boo Boo
Yeah.
in that in 1961. So that's kind of like how slang
Yeah.
becomes ingrained in culture
Yeah.
beyond that.
We we can cut this part off if we need to.
Okay.
Boo boo also refers to poop. Do you ever
Does it?
call poop boo boo?
I've never
I
heard
gotta
of
go
that.
boo boo.
No, I've never heard of that.
I've heard
That
of
is
like
in your very small group of your family, I feel.
No. It might be a black people thing. It could be a cultural thing. I'm a poll people.
Hi-fi, high fidelity, a record player or turntable. Hipster, daddy-o. Those were all the 1950s. 1960s slang terms, groovy. Yeah. Which,
groovy,
in the
man.
definition of this one, they use a slang.
What do they say?
Cool.
Uh-huh.
Hip. So do you know where this one comes from? So it's that groove in music.
Oh, you're in the
feel.
groove.
So we're back to creative
On the
people.
vinyl?
Right? On the vinyl. And
Yeah.
the groove is actually the groove that the needle sits
Yeah.
in.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Right? But then it also kind of goes to the groove of music of the
Yeah.
time at the same time.
And if you kind of look at a record as it's going, you kind of like,
you feel
like
the
feel
groove.
it.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. Hippie?
Hipster. Hippie.
Ah,
kinda.
hipster was in the
Hipster.
decade right in before, and now hippie is here for. It's derived from hipster, a young adult who rebelled against established institutions, etc., etc.
Interesting.
The man,
The man upstairs.
the man,
Like the
a
government.
person of authority.
Oh, yeah.
It's the man, and they're out to get you. Far out.
Far out.
Far out.
That was a
Bread.
good soundbite.
Thank you.
Bread.
Money.
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 Oh,
That's right. Good
yeah,
job.
yeah,
Cheddar also.
Cheddar.
That's
1970s. Here we are in the 70s. Catch you on the flip side.
See you later.
I say that sometimes. I'm not
Dig
gonna
it.
lie. I dig it.
I dig it,
I
baby.
dig
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Get down, boogie.
These are making my heart
Yeah.
happy.
Mind blowing. First came around in the 1970s.
Oh.
Whoa.
Pump iron. Workaholic.
Oh, okay.
1980s. You want to say it?
Bodacious.
Bodacious is the first one I have.
Bodacious.
Chillin'.
Do you have
Chillin'.
where bodacious came from? No. So
Go ahead. Yeah,
so
you got it.
there's now if you are a true 80s babe, Okay.
Like you.
Like me.
Like you.
You might know Bodacious from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
That's my Halloween costume. I'm gonna be Bill from Bill and Ted. Yes.
Wait.
Is there a Ted?
Yeah, I have a Ted at yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. Harm wanted to be
You could
Ted.
also be Ted.
No.
And I guess it was also, that word was used a lot in a comic strip called Snuffy Smith. But neither of them, they're like, we're not the ones who created it. We just kind of made it popular. So they're like, nobody's really sure, again, like exactly where it came from, but they're thinking that it kind of combines bold and audacious, which also can link to a word boldacious, which kind of turned to
I did read something about boldacious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dweeb.
Such a dweeb.
Dweeb.
Get on my way, dweeb.
All of those things. Fly. Very cool.
Fly. Yeah.
Gag me with a spoon, which we talked
Gag me
about.
with a
Yep.
spoon. Huh?
Gnarly. Preppy. Wicked. Yuppie.
Preppy people definitely said gag me with a spoon.
Totally did. And now we're keeping up with the Joneses. 1990s. Diss. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Diss.
Ooh.
Part of disrespect.
Yeah.
Get jiggy.
Getting jiggy with it.
Yeah. My bad. This one goes back way farther than we think. My bad was really big in the 1990s, but its origin is from about 1970. In 1970, Louis Armstrong was on the Ed Sullivan Show, and he said to him, "Happy birthday." And then he corrected himself by saying, "My bad, happy anniversary."
Oh.
So that's the first. It goes way back, way farther than we thought. Now, they were very specific to say, now that's probably not the first. That's not when My Bad first started.
Right.
That's
It's
just the
been
first
around.
time it was heard.
Publicized.
Everyone heard. Yeah.
In this mass public arena
Yep.
of sorts, because the Ed Sullivan Show was
Huge.
massive,
Huge.
massive,
Yes.
massive, massive.
Anybody was watching Ed Sullivan.
Everybody was watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Even the printing press people were watching it.
I don't know if you
typing
know,
it
but
for
we
me.
love the printing press.
They were
here on
typing
One
it out
Word.
for me so that I could read it because I didn't want to watch it on television. They printed it.
I can't.
2000s newbie.
Such a newbie.
Peeps.
People.
People,
Yeah.
yes. Rents.
Oh, parents.
Parents.
Yeah.
I
I
never
call
heard
my
that.
parents
Yeah.
rents all the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep. Sweet. Now, sweet. Beyond cool.
Is sweet more than cool?
It's beyond cool.
Really?
That's sweet. Yeah. No, I see that.
Yeah.
I get that.
BFF first came around
Best friend forever.
in 2000s. The 2010s, we've got chillax, bay, shook.
Do you know what bay is?
Are you ready for this one? It was in part 1. But in 2010s, lit.
Lit.
This is lit.
Yes.
That's this podcast. This podcast is lit.
This podcast is lit.
2020s, we got a lot of those in part 1. You should listen to part 1 if you haven't already. Slaps, facts, fire, stand, tea, goat. All those.
I didn't think of some of those.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm kind of sad.
Nice.
Tea is the gossip. You
Tea.
know,
Spill the tea.
Spill the tea.
I have a friend who says that all the time.
Goat, greatest of all time.
Okay, wait, rewind. Do you thank you. It every time it makes me happy. Do you know what bay stands for?
Baby.
Best
Babe.
all around elements.
No. So it is BAE and it stands for before anyone else. That's my bay. That's my
Yeah,
before
I think I
anyone
knew that.
else.
That's kind of sweet.
Right.
That's cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think I did know that. Yeah, that's great. That's what I got through the decades on that bit of slang.
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 Bet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have talked about a lot of like slang here in
In the United
America.
States of America.
Do you ever do you listen to shows or listen to like different people from other countries?
Love them.
It's so
Okay.
funny.
Right? And hearing like slang there.
Yes.
Okay, so I I feel like I'm an honorary British person. British people probably wouldn't say that. I watch a lot of British shows. I know you watch a lot of British shows.
I love them.
Okay, so I copied down some British phrases, and I want to know if you guys will know what these mean.
Go.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's proper good nosh, isn't it?
Proper good nosh.
So is it the nosh part?
All of it. Just translate the whole sentence.
Proper
Yes.
good nosh.
Proper good nosh, in it.
Is it food?
Is it like a kind of food? Like a
It's sustaining life, good. It's
Yeah, it's like
healthy, good food for you.
Yeah, basically that's really good food, isn't it?
nice.
In it.
yay.
Okay. Fancy a cuppa?
Yeah.
Cup of tea.
Cup of
It's a cup of tea.
Cup of
Cuppa
tea.
is short for a cup of tea.
Okay, this one. Now the first part is just from British Bake Off, so ignore that part, okay? Right?
Love
Do you watch
British
British
Bake
Bake
Off.
Off?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love this show. Okay. I got Star Baker and I was chuffed as anything.
Chuffed to bits. It was chuffed to bits.
Happy.
Yeah.
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 Happy.
Okay, and then that bloke's a bit dodgy, isn't he?
Like suspicious. You can't
Yeah.
trust.
Yeah.
Don't trust that guy.
Yeah.
Sus.
Sus. Oh, we never talked about sus.
No. That's a slang word that does not need to
Suspect.
come
Oh,
back.
that
Does it
one.
not?
You got
Is it not around
It
much
is
anymore?
No.
People still
belong-
use it though,
I
no?
use it like ironically.
Oh.
yeah.
It's
So you
in the
don't use
grave,
it
just where
intentionally.
it
No.
belongs.
Well, it's intentionally to be ironic.
Yes. Yes.
Ironic.
Like Ray Yane on
Like
your wedding
what?
day. Like Ray Yane.
I thought you were saying a person named Ray Yang. I was like,
Oh my god. That was good.
that's good. That's good.
That was good. I was okay, so sorry. Speaking of slang, so I was watching this TikTok because I'm a cool person.
You are. You're lit.
And it was this lady who's Scottish, and she she was like trying to say Scottish slang in an American accent, and she was like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting thinking about that, and it kind of just solidifies like that it really is for like created almost for certain groups and things. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've had a lot of fun going through all of these the different slang that there is out there. But I also want to take this moment right here to remember, I've got a few quotes from people that I wanted to talk about. One is Ben Zimmer. And Ben Zimmer says that slang allows cultural groups to create their own kind of territory through language. And when a word seeps beyond the original group who uses it and its shared attitudes, that can be hurtful.
Yeah, that's so. You and I talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Because kind of back to in the first part when we were talking about like some slang, especially internet slang right now, can come from AAVE or different kind of like Black culture. And some people view that as like, okay, you're not just using slang, like this is a language and you just taking and using it and not even, recognizing or saying that it's from this other culture.
Appreciating where it came from. Yeah.
And so they really just kind of talked about like, okay, if you hear slang like, or you hear different words, people just start using it. But think about like, where does it come from?
Yeah.
Why is it being used? What does it even mean? Because some people use slang and they don't even realize what it means.
Correct.
And it's,
And
some of it's not even really appropriate for people to use.
Yeah.
It's
or
like-
some people to use.
You're right.
Yeah. Some.
Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yep.
I think it's a good moment for us to say that words do matter.
Oh, yeah.
They have more meaning than just what maybe we comprehend them to mean. Right? And this, listen to these words put together in a sentence. This is Jeffrey Sherwood. And he says, slang can condense so many emotions and attitudes into a concise, powerful way. A slang is not just a word necessarily. It tells a story and a history. And there's something to learn, I think, from each one of those slangs and where they come from. And I think it's also, going back to what you're saying, I think it's also appropriate for us to not necessarily use that word if we don't understand all of the things about it to know if it's appropriate for us. Did you know there's a guy called Mr. Slang? His name is Jonathan Green. And we talked about in the early part of episode Slang Part 1, how slang was used with the criminal groups centuries ago as a way to communicate. Mm-hmm. It has always been used on some level to say that we are the marginal folk, he says. Slang can be mean, it can be uncaring, and it can be disgusting. It can also bind people and define the boundaries of a people. It confirms that we're together, and it confirms that someone else is not part of us. Slang, he calls a human phenomenon. We want to put our arms around each other as an element of self-defense. That's what slang is used. It's used as these arms that wrap around a group of people in self-defense. I think a lot of times through history, young people can be those marginalized groups. I think different ethnicities can be marginalized groups. Different genders can be marginalized groups. All of those can be marginalized. I found their writing very interesting. And if you want Jonathan Green, you should look him up. He does have, he's got a database of all these different slangs.
Yeah, I saw that where he started creating that dictionary in 74, 84?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
And just kind of keeps building it up.
Yeah. Correct.
That's cool. So I also kind of going off of that, you mentioned Jonathan Green, and he's got this dictionary, and it made me think of Cab Calloway, who I can't remember if I mentioned him before, either in the intro or something. I don't know, y'all. We talk a lot. But Cab Calloway also, so he was this jazz musician, and he did scat a lot. That was a huge kind of thing that he did back in the 30s. And he also started this dictionary of phrases of jive, and that was kind of the first time. And I know I keep talking about African Americans, but I am African American, so that's what I know. And so he started this dictionary of these phrases that were used often in kind of that world. And it was one of the first times where it was that type of thing was documented, where it's oh, right, these are words that are created from a certain people. And so it's interesting hearing about Jonathan Green taking all of these words that people have used over the years and just putting them in, because you're right, words do matter.
Yeah.
Words are made up, right? And so thinking about words have power, and words have meaning, and words can bring us apart or pull us together. Yeah. And so being able to recognize where they came from, being able to recognize that they do have power, and using them well. I think really that's the big thing. Think about the words you're using and use them well.
Well stated.
Well said.
Yeah, that's so true.
That was
good job.
Thanks.
Well stated.
The end.
Yeah, and I think if it's not appropriate for you, let people who have emotionally invested in that word, that's their word. And that's good. So you young people, don't worry. I'm not going to use slay. Okay.
I think young people everywhere are happy about it.
the world rejoices.
Well, we've come to the end of Slang Part 2. Join us next month when our word in December is festive. I am Dominic.
I'm Jenna.
I'm Rozzy.
I'm Matthew.
And you've been listening to One Word.
One word.
One word.
I feel like I'm off every time.
It's
guys.
okay.
See you next time.
See you.
One Word is a production of BFAC on Air.
Okay, so at first I thought you said slaying, and then I was like, no, you said slang.